Hey guys, Hades here. Okay, we're picking up right where we left off last time. If you didn't watch the last video, you might want to watch that one first, part 2A. Okay, let's look at some grammar. What is a noun? What is a verb? What is a gerund? What is an infinitive? Okay, I think most people got the noun and verb, but let's go through them quickly. A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. A verb is an action word, usually, as there are verbs that also don't represent action, like auxiliary verbs. And a gerund is a verb acting as a noun, sort of. A gerund may seem like a verb, but it's actually representing a noun, right? So we'll take a verb like walk, and we're going to add ing, and the gerund is walking, because when we use it, it is behaving like a noun. The verb in the following sentences is not walking, right? John is walking. Is the verb. It's an auxiliary verb. John likes walking. Again, walking is not the verb. Likes is the verb. So a gerund is a verb plus ing. Once we do that, we're treating it more like a noun. An infinitive is basically a verb with the word to in front of it. It is similar to gerunds because it changes into something similar to a noun. Sometimes they could be used the same way. I love walking. I love to walk. Those mean the same thing. Right? I love walking. I love to walk. Same thing. But sometimes they're going to have different meanings. Right? I never remember to lock the door. I never remember locking the door. Those do not mean the same thing. What do they mean? I never remember to lock the door means that the door is unlocked because I forgot to lock it. I never remember locking the door. That means that the door is probably locked, but I have no memory of, of having locked it, right? Maybe it's locked, but I never remember when I do that, right? So often they'll be the same thing, like in the picture over there. I like learning. Really? I like to learn too. But here, right, I never remember to lock the door. I never remember locking the door. They have different meanings. Random image. All right, what is a quote? Why do people quote others? What is an anecdote? Do you have any favorite quotes? All right, really quickly, let's look at this quote by Helen Keller. When one door of happiness closes, another one opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. What does that mean? Right? It kind of means, let's look at it like a breakup, right? Maybe you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and maybe there's someone else really good for you or even better for you, but you're so depressed about losing your former partner that you don't realize, right, that there's someone else better. There's another door open for you. A quote is a recitation or written example of someone else's words while giving credit to the person who originally said it. People quote others usually to prove a point, show appreciation for a person or their words, or because they agree with what is being stated. Also, quote is short for quotation. An anecdote is a brief story told about a person with a truth to be learned, often about the character in the story, who can be famous or not. Anecdotes, often people tell them as though they're nonfiction, but they can be fictional. Okay, let's look at some quotes. The one who loves the least controls the relationship. That was Robert Anthony. What does that mean? The one who loves the least controls the relationship. That means because the person loves the least, he or she won't care as much, right? In a relationship, if one person is really in love and the other person is maybe a little in love, then the person who's really in love will be more afraid that the relationship will end. So they're willing to bend more, to give more, right? So the other person is in control. It is easier to prevent bad habits than to break them. That's Benjamin Franklin. It is easier to prevent bad habits than to break them. What does that mean? That means if you don't have a bad habit, then it's easy to get rid of, right? Someone who does not smoke, it's easy for them to not smoke because they never started smoking. Whereas someone who smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day, it's very difficult for them to quit. So basically, he's saying don't start bad habits and, and then you won't have to quit them. All right, good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. Jim Horning. What does that mean? Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. That basically means learn from your mistakes, right? Right? If you have no experience, you might make some mistakes, right? But once you make a mistake, learn from it, right? If you've never seen fire before and it looks kind of cool and you touch it and it burns your hand, now you have experience. That was bad judgment, but now you have experience. The next time you encounter fire, you won't touch it because your experience tells you it will hurt you. If you look for the bad in people, expecting to find it, you surely will. Abraham Lincoln. What does that mean? If you look for the bad in people, expecting to find it, you surely will. That means no one's perfect, right? But why? Why are you looking for the bad in people? If you look for the bad, yeah, you'll find it eventually, right? If you dig deep enough, look hard enough, you'll find the bad. But what's the point in that? Why not look for the good in people? You'll you'll lead a better life that way. Okay, I really like this one. Oh, what tangled webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. Sir Walter Scott, although many people attribute that to Shakespeare. Before I looked it up, I thought it might be Shakespeare too, but it's Sir Walter Scott. What does that mean? Oh, what tangled webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. That basically means be honest, tell the truth, otherwise you'll weave tangled webs. Tangled, right? Like when your hair is tangled, it means it's messed up, it's knotted, it's not smooth. Uh, when you lie, you have to remember what lies you told and to whom. When you tell the truth, all you have to remember is the truth, right? So if you lie to people, maybe you're telling different lies to different people for different reasons. Now you have to remember all that. And you might end up having to tell more and more lies just to keep up your initial lie. Whereas if you tell the truth, you only have to remember the truth, and it's much less stressful. And then we have a Shakespeare quote, "To be or not to be? That is the question." You may have heard that before. It's quite popular. And compared to the other quotes, it's maybe not as significant, but it's quite popular. And I have a bunch of Shakespeare quotes in another PowerPoint that I might get around to doing. Basically, to be or not to be just means to be alive or not to be alive. It's from Hamlet. He's considering what's better, to be alive or to be dead. And here's a random image, right? Stupidity, a quality or state of being stupid, more often than not the result of mistaking laziness for creativity. So instead of moving the branch or the fallen tree in the road, the guy just painted around it. Okay, in my live lesson, I went in great detail on this because the students had a lot of questions. So I'm going to go kind of quickly through this. Yeah, all right. What is a weapon? What is a gun? What is the difference between a handgun and a rifle? What does caliber mean? A weapon is a device used to cause harm or damage to living things, structures, and machines. People have been using weapons long before they have been recording their own history. So, yeah, weapons have been around in human history for a long time. A weapon can be considered a tool. Weapons might have been some of the first tools ever used by man. Primitive weapons can be spears, slings, or even just picking up a rock and using it as a weapon. What is gunpowder? Where was gunpowder invented? What is a firearm? Where was the first firearm invented? Gunpowder is a chemical that easily catches fire and is extremely flammable, or if you remember when we discussed this, inflammable, right? A firearm is any weapon that uses gunpowder, also known as a gun. Gunpowder was invented in China during the 9th century. The first firearm was also invented in China, but during the 13th century. Early guns were extremely inaccurate and often caused harm to the person using them. And that top picture there, that's a picture of a very early gun. I don't I don't know how you fired it or exactly how it worked. Maybe you put something in one end and there was gunpowder in the other end and you just lit it on fire. No idea, but but that's one of the first ones. A handgun can be held and fired with one hand. It's also quite small. A rifle is for long distance shooting and far more accurate than a handgun, but difficult to use in close quarters. Right? So handguns are easier when you're fighting very close, very close together, but rifles are far more accurate. Caliber refers in inches to the diameter of a gun barrel. A 22 caliber gun can kill someone, but is more likely to just wound someone. Uh, Usually a bullet fired from a 22 caliber gun will not exit the body. So they're small. 22 is very small. A 38 caliber is the most popular for handguns, or maybe a 357, and will usually be fatal if fired correctly. A 44 caliber will blow a big hole in someone and is the largest caliber for handguns, but it will have a much bigger recoil. This Okay, I'll just keep going. A shotgun is very high caliber but not accurate. It doesn't fire a single bullet but many small metal beads. If one was shot in the head at point blank range with a shotgun, there would be nothing left or very little left of his or her head. Very powerful. An automatic weapon is one that will fire multiple rounds when the trigger is squeezed. A semi automatic weapon will only fire one round at a time, but does not need to be cocked every time it is fired. So just keep pulling the trigger for semi automatic. Assault rifles are military grade weapons. Now, they're trying to change the definition of that, but it used to be military grade weapons, right? The two most common assault rifles are the M16 and the AK-47. Assault rifles are automatic weapons and usually illegal for civilians. Only like military has them usually. I don't know, some countries that are really lax on gun laws might allow civilians to have those. The AK-47 was designed in Russia and is the standard weapon for soldiers in many countries. It is fully automatic, high caliber, or higher caliber than an M16, but not as accurate. The M16 was designed in the US, and many soldiers are assigned this weapon in many countries. The M16 can be used in automatic and semi-automatic mode. It's a smaller caliber, but it's more accurate than an AK-47. There's a picture of Rambo. Jason can hit a target over 300 yards away with an M16. Sometimes, if it's not moving. When Jason was in the Army, he earned a sharpshooter award. Yes, but sharpshooter wasn't the highest award. Highest award was expert. I can kill you from far away, maybe, if you stand still. Random image. Okay, what did you learn today? And there's another image there, right? Stupid people, gotta let them know, I guess. And there's a urinal that people pee in. And above the urinal is a sign that says danger, do not drink this water. Another random image, alcohol, you're doing it wrong. And there's a picture of a car coming out of a roof. Don't know exactly how that happened. Okay, guys, this will end this one. If you had any questions about the weapons section, a lot of my students happened to that one time I taught it, and you can go check out the live lesson that I've done on this. It's already out, and maybe I'll answer your question there. I talked about it way too long, I think, in that one. Okay, anyhow, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.